College football apostles is here. Oh my gosh, we got so much to talk about today. There is going to be stuff left on the cutting room floor. But the SEC maybe wants to have its own governance. We got to talk about ESPN and Pat McAfee, Josh Pate. Apparently, America wants more college football. And, I got some things to say about that. We have to talk about gambling in sports. Gambling versus prediction markets. This is causing a huge issue. Bobby Bowden wrote a letter that went famous, and Ty Simpson spills all. And there's a lot more if we get to it. But welcome, Ralph. The season has officially ended, right? It's over. It ended last week. So now we're in
That
off
feels like
season.
an insult. That feels like an insult toward Miami.
What do you mean? There's games
Are you
left?
saying game?
Nah, I'm joking. We still got the national championship left, but it's so funny because everywhere that you look, Ralph, you see everybody talking. College football's broken. College football's broken. College football's broken. There's nothing broken about these ratings. There's nothing broken about the interest in college football. It has never been higher, and now there was an article that came out saying that people want more college football, especially being that the Bussin' with the Boys guys be on Get Up with Josh Pate and everybody else. And I absolutely love this, Ralph. I love it because college football, it's football. And now that there's more drama, people are in on drama.
There's definitely more drama. It's constant, and I feel like we do have to acknowledge there's going to be a burn rate for some fans, but the level of interest is super high. I mean, like, if my kids are in a room making a bunch of noise, I'm gonna run in that room to figure out what's going on. But eventually, if it ends up not being a big deal the fifth or sixth time, maybe I'm not paying attention anymore. Maybe I'm just sick of the noise. Maybe I just want them to shut up. Like, it's constant. There's 11 days between the semifinal and the national championship, and the entire thing is filled with gambling news, the transfer portal, coaching contracts, just all sorts of all this ancillary
Yeah.
drama that has nothing to do with the actual games. And it feels almost like WWE, which is something you introduced me to. You took me to a wrestling match. I got to see The Rock call all my people of Arizona crackheads. That was fun. But I had so much fun that I tried to follow along with it, and it's something every day.
Yes.
They got something every day. You can pick and choose the storylines that you follow along with, but if you really want to be invested, you got to be invested 3 to 5 days a week. And I feel like college football is reaching that WWE level where it's supposed to be January. I'm supposed to be able to turn my brain off for 3 weeks, but you and I are making more content than we ever have. There is no off season, and I'm happy for it. I'm happy for it. The channel's going crazy. We used to get 300 to 500 views on shorts that are now getting 15 to 25,000 views. Like,
Thanks to you guys.
I love that the attention is on college football, but I do wonder, is it sustainable? Are there too many little fires to be put out or tend to all at the same time?
No, dude, that's exactly what makes the NFL great. Like that there are fires or news all the time. Think about this. The playoffs, I'm sorry, the regular season just ended. You're going through the playoffs. You got drama there, right? And then as soon as the season ends, let's go to the combine. and then it is free agency is starting, the new league year. Where are your players going? The transfer portal is open in the NFL. Who's getting contracts? Who's not? It is hope season. And then right after that, it is the NFL draft time. And in college football now, it used to be dormant after the national championship. And then you rolled into, yeah, spring ball kind of mattered. But before that, you got the whole transfer portal. You don't know who's staying. You don't know who's going. You just signed a recruiting class. Who's actually going to show up on campus? And if they do show up on campus and move in, they might transfer out like Jaron Kiwi Sakapuatelli last year from Oregon or Bryson Beaver this year. Just because they show up don't even mean that they're going to go. Oh, wait, hold up. We re-signed our quarterback. Never mind. He's trying to, Miami and LSU are trying to poach him. Oh, never mind. He's forced to go back to school. It is the drama is on max. But the question is, Ralph, and I've talked to Josh about this, and he's posted about it. People are now calling him the corporate shield. Shield. He's now he's no longer the man of the people. He's now corporate man. And I just think that that's hilarious. So I'm like, cool. I'm the man of the people now, baby. Unafraid Show is now the man of the people. So yeah. So I don't think that Pate sold out because you're trying to grow your audience, but then here's the thing. Once you start taking corporate money, there are some things that you have to be like, damn, I can't say that today. Or we just gotta kind of finesse this a different way. Or we just gonna leave this off the topic sheet because it's bad business. And that's just the truth. Like there's no way around it. Because if we sign a deal with Fox or ESPN, CBS Sports, and then a scandal breaks on CBS or Fox or ESPN, how are we supposed to cover it?
Well, the two things would happen. First, you'd have to fire me. You know it's
Because
true
you
too.
can't
I'm
control
not.
this.
No, I can't. I'm Andre 3000 in the. Don't give me no gun.
Don't
There,
even give me no gun. You
you already
already
know
know what
what
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
do.
do. But that's the first thing you have to do, and then you have to make a business decision. I do love the idea that like Josh Pate, who I love listening to. I like listening to anybody who knows and loves ball. And I've been a Josh Pate fan for a long time, but I do love the idea that Josh Pate is like Utah football now. He got that private equity money, so now you have to step in and be the man of the people. He's gonna blow up though, and
Hey,
he deserves it. He deserves it. He put in work, and hopefully we can follow in his wake. There's so many people doing so much incredible stuff right now, and I love that the appetite is there for college football. You did forget one thing when you're talking about NFL offseason and how it's always in the news.
what's that?
Like Rasheed Rice driving through a kindergarten or something like that. Like once a year,
Oh
the
yes,
NFL
yes,
stays in the
exactly.
news.
Hey, college football is giving you that with a coach for Michigan being the coach one day, arrested the next day. Dude, you got scandals, you got investigations, you got all sorts of stuff that just factor into it, and I love it. So the question though that people are now asking is who should be the gatekeepers of college football? Should it be Josh Pate as the guy that is now elevated into that? Is it Pat McAfee? And I am going to go so far as to because college football game day, they've seen better ratings since he has been on the show. He's a big character, big figure. I like the show with him. And I know that people have been frustrated because, he commands a lot of power, takes up a lot of oxygen in the room on that set, but he's good for business and he's entertaining. So, whatever anybody doesn't like about him, he's growing the college football pie, and anybody that's growing the pie, I'm in on because then it's room for us to get where we fit with the dollars and the proper funding that we should be having.
I agree, man. I think there's great coverage in the Big Ten and SEC. Obviously, every college has their own people who I listen to a lot of the various people who just cover the individual colleges that are incredible. The Big 12 has a lot more people than I thought that do an amazing job covering it. But it's just there's so many options out there, and and a lot of corporate support too. They got the All City Network, covering the schools in Colorado, in Arizona, in Pennsylvania. You've got other things springing up. Barstool fused with the Big Ten
Yep.
now. Um, I just, I hope that it can continue in a way that is sustainable and fun, because college football is naturally territorial, and so I feel like we know how to exist in the college football media space with constant adversity and people bickering and rivalries. Like, no one ever has enough energy to just like hate for the sake of hate. Like, they got a
Yeah.
specific purpose to their hate, and then the next week they got to move on to hating somebody else because the schedule always changes. So
And you know what the best part
I
about it
love
though
the
is?
energy.
The best part about college football is what we're experiencing. Indiana is in the national championship.
Hmm.
There is not a person prior to Kurt Signetti getting there. Hell, even last year, after last year when they got beat up in the playoff, people would have not believed that this team was capable of doing these great things. And then you think about it, Virginia won the ACC, Ralph. They played against Duke in the ACC championship.
Duke
Texas
won that
Tech,
game. Duke won that game. I
yep,
gotta, I gotta point out that the 7-5 Duke Blue Devils were your ACC champions.
Texas Tech is a ridiculously
Mm.
good team now. BYU is good. Utah. And then you go, and then you got Iowa fans are great. You have Washington, USC trying to come up. Penn State wants to be back again. Dude, this is the fact that so many fan bases have hope. That is what I have wanted, Ralph. I want that more than
Yeah,
anything else in the whole world because Indiana, if they win the national championship, the reason why I want them to win the national championship is because, and it's weird because I like Mario Cristobal. I would be happy if he won. But the thing that I like about Indiana winning and want to happen is that now you're going to have coaches say, "Oh my, oh my God, I guess I can win where I'm at." Huh. Huh. What do you say? I don't have to leave and go to LSU and leave Ole Miss to go win a national championship. Maybe I'm good enough to do it where I'm at. Maybe if I recruit the right guys, maybe if I hit the transfer portal right, hire the right coaches, create the right culture, and get the right support, maybe we can win right here. And that is the thing that I love. And you saw it this offseason, Ralph. Clark Lee bought into that uh, at Vanderbilt. Brent Key bought into that at Georgia Tech. Jeff Brom bought into it at Louisville. Uh, Kenny Dillingham has already been bought into it at Arizona State. These are guys that everybody was trying to get, and they were like, "Nah, we good." I love that, and I hope that these teams end up in the college football playoff in short order. Just hopefully, just not at the expense of my favorite team, but if it is, so be it. So be it. Like the clips say.
are, are you a Star Wars guy?
No, no. I
I'm
mean, I
not
like the
either, but
idea of Star Wars. Like, I just haven't ever seen Star Wars except I think I saw episode one.
we might got because I'm not really a Star Wars guy either. My kids are, but the tried and true thing is compelling villain versus like uh good limited by a code that can't necessarily color outside the lines, right?
Yeah,
And there's a reason that the story has stood the test of time, and why Disney milks it for billions of dollars every single year. I
yeah.
feel like college football is getting to that point, and that's why I'm not necessarily rooting against Lane Kiffin,
Okay.
because I feel like, based on what you just said, we have the good guys. We have the guys that are doing it out of regional loyalty, right? For their schools, for their people, who have chosen to stay and instill hope and try to win. And then we have somebody who turned over the course of his career. Like, there was hope for him, but he turned, and he believes in the old way of consolidating talent, of going to the place with the absolute best resources. And I I think the best thing that can happen for college football is for schools like Indiana to raise up and be semi-dominant, but also for LSU to come back and for them to, yes, to get a bunch of five stars under a coach that everybody hates, who just took a quarterback from a college that fired him on the tarmac, who just flew to Knoxville, Tennessee, who he burned 16 years ago to go grab a quarterback who was trying to decide between Tennessee, LSU, and Miami, who coaxed, potentially, asterisk, a quarterback that was at Washington into the portal after signing a contract, causing his own fan base to turn on him. He is the Emperor or Darth Vader or whatever the appropriate reference is for Star Wars, and I want them to be a threat. That's the storyline I want.
Yeah.
LSU versus everybody. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I want a good guy to win, but I love the idea of an evil SEC empire and with a really cool color scheme that also has stolen my last two quarterbacks.
Pass, pass, pass. It is, and it's not because here's the thing. I got nothing bad about LSU. I got nothing wrong with LSU winning. Nothing wrong with being good. And I know, and I talk about this all the time, that you don't get to choose how somebody else's consequences show up in life. But Lane Kiffin is a selfish human. He's not worried about anybody else except for himself. So I would have a hard time looking at the screen watching him hoist a national championship trophy. I gotta be honest. And standing on business, so everybody knows, we will be hitting up Lane Kiffin and LSU to go interview him in this offseason. We'll see if he says yes. And yes, I will keep the same energy. I will not be like, "Hey, Lane, buddy Lane," and be like, "No, I'm gonna ask him the tough questions and keep it a buck because that's what we're supposed to do." Um, all right, so let's get on to the next thing. About the Miami Hurricanes, Ralph. Now, what's going on with this money situation with them?
They you remember in the 1980s when construction in Miami went crazy?
Yes. And it went crazy in the early 2000s when they overbuilt as well, like Fort Lauderdale, Miami, all of that stuff. It's a lot of people that got
That
stuck with some loans that they couldn't really work with.
that that is a city that money has passed through many a time for many a reason, and this time it's because the ACC put into place a rule, and kudos to the ACC for being innovative in an attempt to keep this conference together. The ACC said that, we're going to be a conference where winner take all. So you
Hmm.
get to the college football playoff semifinal, that check is yours. Miami's getting a $3 million check for travel expenses, and the game is in Miami. They get to keep all that money. They got 20 million.
Man, they better
At the
pass
end of the
that
day,
to
it's
the
going to be about
players. Get them boys some bonuses.
at the end of the day, it's going to be about 32 million minus expenses, and it's going to be an expensive process because they had to go to Phoenix and they had to go all over the place to make it through this playoff. George, my question for you is this: how is a, let's say at the end of the day, a $20 million infusion after expenses and all that? How is a $20 million infusion going to help keep Miami at the top of the heap?
It is going to be great, especially if they are going to allocate it properly and not treat it like it's a not-for-profit business that has to zero out at the end of the year.
Mm,
If they can keep find a way to keep some reserves, because college football works exactly like your other not-for-profit businesses, or even when they give a certain department a budget. Like I remember when I was in Jacksonville, they redecorated the training room. They changed out the carpet, changed out the stuff on the things. I was like, yo, it wasn't even in bad shape. He was like, yeah, man, we had some budget money left over and we had to spend it. I was like, why did you spend it if you didn't need it? He said, because if I don't spend it, they will reduce the budget by that much next year, and I might need it next year. So I got to keep my budget where I need it, and that's the way it works. So I do. I on one hand, I love the ACC for this because they're like, yo, you eat what you kill. But the thing I don't love about it is I don't love uneven revenue sharing because it perpetuates a cycle of the good teams keep getting the money. So like Syracuse then has to go to their boosters and everybody else be like, "Yo, we need the resources so then we can go get this money." But college football, Ralph, is in a crazy place right now because the money is not being spent properly because you have these expensive rosters 25, 35, $40 million rosters, right? I'm not sure if anybody's gotten up to 40, but you're inching real close, and people are looking at it and they're like, yo, well, that's just the cost of doing business. Actually, no, because there is a finite amount of money that you can keep getting from boosters year in and year out. So either you have to create some sort of endowment that's going to kick off money to you every single month to handle the surplus, or you are going, I'm sorry, a shortfall, or just to even fund your NIL budget. Or what you're going to have to do is do like Utah did and create your own private equity company that actually has an interest in Utah football doing really well as a way to make money, and then those rich people who donate to it, they're essentially investors in it and they get a return on the field and in their pocket. Or your option is just to say we're we're just gonna stink, and that's it. There is a requirement that money matters, and people just they just get continuously lost in thinking that these checks are just going to show up every single year, when in reality there has to be some sort of governance, Ralph, in that for that players, that with the college sports commission, which is supposed to have enforcement power, which we've seen none with these collective deals, and they're hiring Learfield and all this stuff to like circumvent. There has to be a hard salary cap, Ralph, on pay for play, and then real NIL deals only should be able to get pushed through. Yes, you can get a car deal. You can get a deal with the cell phone provider, but just the idea that you're going to be having these above market deals for for high school students who have no value on the field yet, no. Real NIL should be unlimited. Think about it like the NBA. The best player in the NBA, whoever you want to call him, LeBron James, uh, Steph Curry, Jokic, whoever, SGA, whoever you think is the best right now. There is a finite amount of money that they can make from the NBA to keep competitive balance. But off the field, they can make $20 billion if they want to, which is exactly the way it should be.
I it is my personal belief that all Miami fans just completely tuned you out because they have no interest in sustainability or rules or doing things in that way, which brings me to my next question, George. This 20 million, could Miami use it to break apart college football? Because one thing we know to be very true, first of all, to qualify it, all schools, to some extent, depending on how you bend the definition, are currently tampering with
Yes,
athletes on other teams.
except
A lot
Clemson,
of
because
athletes,
Clemson said we're not doing that.
I'm sure they have their own sanitized version of someone on staff who at least has to be in the know about what's going on out there. But the president of Georgia, Jer Moorhead, just came out and said, if they're not going to enforce any of this stuff, we might have to take our ball and go home. We might have to operate independently as the SEC. And I bring that up to say that it is very well known that the number one violator of any and every rule that exists in college football right now is Miami. To a lesser extent, you got Texas Tech, you got some other schools that are saying, "Oh, they can't enforce right now. Let's go all in." And I do think that that's smart. I'm not saying that they're bad people or doing anything completely immoral. I wish that everybody was doing things the right way, but they're not. That's the reality of it. But we do know that Miami is unapologetic in the way that they approach coaxing players off of other people's rosters. And they did come out this week and say, basically in a story to 24/7, like, we're still looking for a quarterback, and that quarterback might be on someone else's team. So,
And he's just going to
and,
magically hop in the portal in the next 2 days.
yeah, and now you got $20 million. That they'll call it 32 to coax you in, but that they have this money. Does it ever behoove University of Miami, who has existed in sort of a blurred line state, does it ever behoove them to follow any type of rule that's good for all of college football? And if they don't, could Miami be one of the root causes for college football breaking off into independent conferences?
Yes. And do you know what the stupidest thing of the whole of the all of this is? Think about when they were trying to lobby Congress and everything. We need rules. We need things in place. And they were trying to get the revenue sharing worked out and everything else. We need enforcement. College Sports Commission. And now everybody won't even sign it because they don't want it. Because if they all sign it, like so they all scream, we need rules, we need rules. But then when it comes to signing the paper that that says like rules are nothing if there's no enforcement power. Like if running if driving 100 miles an hour, if they post signs, speed limit, do not go over this line, do not go over this speed, and and nobody ever gets tickets for driving 100 miles an hour. How many people are going to drive the speed limit, Ralph?
Oh, I feel you. We've done this in this country a million different times. It's very funny for college football fans to be frustrated. Like, we're asking Congress for help and they're not helping us. We've been asking Congress for health care and better roads and everything like that. And I do believe there are a lot of abolitionists in this country asking Congress for something really specific for about 80 years. And everyone's like, no, I love that idea in theory. And then it's like, well, you got to give up yours then. And it's like, I lost my
Ah,
pen. I can't sign today. Wife has cholera. Can't take the horse and buggy down to
yeah.
Washington, D.C.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we'll come back and do that tomorrow. But the thing that this has done, Ralph, is that the idea that there's no enforcement. We've had the College Sports Commission for like 7 months already, 8 months already, and it's and and the leadership of it. Oh, what's the guy's name who leads it? Who's like the College Sports Commission czar, the guy who came over from MLB, who dealt out all the punishments and everything. We ain't heard this dude's name since he got announced. We ain't heard a ruling. We ain't heard of nobody getting it. Nothing, because there's no enforcement power. And until there's enforcement power, there's two things that have to happen for college football to be unbroken. Number one, there has to be some enforcement power. And number two, collective bargaining is the only way forward. The players have to essentially unionize, whether you count them as employees, give them a special exemption, whatever. They have to be able to unionize and have representation. Negotiate with one entity, not with the SEC, not with the Big Ten, not with the ACC, because they all have different contracts. Think about this. Miami's looking for a quarterback. Do you know where they're not looking for a quarterback at, Ralph?
High school?
The Big Ten. Because them Big Ten contracts are pretty ironclad, and we learned that with Demond Williams. Guess which conference they're looking for a quarterback out of?
I guess the SEC or the Big 12 where everybody's taking
The
quarterbacks from.
the ACC, buddy. They're trying to get people to leave that have already re-signed
Mm.
because they believe that they can get them out of those contracts. We saw Miami do it with Xavier Lucas and Wisconsin, and then the Big Ten then changed their contract after that. So it
So you said we hadn't heard from Brian Seeley. He did give one quote yesterday. I'm gonna read it to you, and I think it reinforces everything that you just said. This is Brian Seeley. He said, "If there was a time to stick your neck out, it's now. My sense is that the vast majority of schools who want to that they want to sign this, but I suspect if a school wants this, you're thinking, why am I going to stick my neck out if other schools won't also sign? If there was a time to
they're gonna have
stick
to
your
have a
neck
signing
out,
party.
it's now."
They're gonna have to have a signing party. Hey guys, come on, come on. We're gonna have a signing party. Everybody signing at the same time, and nobody's signature counts unless everybody signs it. You
So
gotta
on
treat it
three,
like a game show, where like there's like green, 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 green. Eh. What did you do, Syracuse? Well, like that's the way it needs to be. Um, But you also had another ACC team, Virginia Tech. They just got a boatload of money. They just got a huge donation from a booster. UCLA just got $17 million for football and basketball from a donor who passed away. And then how much did Virginia Tech get donated?
I think it was like 20 million minus the 800,000 they just paid to James Madison to not have to play him next year.
Oof. Yo, that's a lot of bread. But the issue is, like again, how long does that bread go? Is that 1 year worth of bread? That would be crazy. I think that you're going to have some sort of endowment system or private equity system to be able to fuel these rosters, or you're going to have to be able to salary cap it because the issue is this is that the money just keeps going up and up and up and up and up and up and up, especially for premium positions like quarterback. Because if you're Miami, how much are you willing to pay for a quarterback for next year? Whatever it
It
costs now, right? Because
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
have one.
yeah. The rate is what for the high end is 6 is what people can compare to,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So if someone says like I want what he got, then you got to pay it if you want
Or
to
if
have it.
somebody is making 4.5 or 3.5 at their school and they're like, yo, you want me to pick up and leave? I'm gonna need 7. Man, that's too much. Okay, well, I'll stay where I'm at because I'm not leaving for a incremental pay raise. Nah, bro. I like it where I'm at. They like me where I'm at. That
Yeah, and that's just it. It's got to be back pay too, because if you look at what happened with Damon Williams, and I've known Damon Williams for a long time. You've known Damon for a long time. I think he's a good kid.
yep.
I don't love his decision making, but I'm not him. So uh, but you are paying for someone's loss of access to that city for the rest of their life
Yep.
when you rip the heart out of these fans. Because a lot of these fans, it's not just about the big money. You got people who are kicking in out of their family budget. They're kicking in $45 a month to the local college football program, hoping that it makes some sort of a difference. Then that they get to take their kids to these games and they get to see the same players for more than 1 year. Those people, when they are upset, are justified. I'm not saying they're justified in some of the stuff that they say out loud. Everybody should make the right choice all the time. I think we're all on the same page there. You should treat people with kindness. You should treat people with care. But there is weeping and gnashing of teeth every time one of these athletes that says that they're committed to a certain situation backs up on that and goes somewhere else where the resources are. And yeah, it's going to make a couple of big donors upset, but it's really going to hurt the people who are dipping into their own food funds, healthcare funds, school supply funds to support their alma mater because shit's tough out here, man. So, like,
Yep.
if you're going to pay me to come to your school, you're going to pay for the fact that I can't ever come back to this city. That my name's going to be a curse in that land.
Yes. 100%. There's a premium on that. There's 100% a premium, and it should be, because there should be some level of, I don't know, because I think that a lot of these kids aren't placing value on, or don't understand the alumni value network worth, right? So had I transferred out, mind you, I left Oregon my junior year, but that's acceptable because I
Mm-hmm.
went to the NFL. Had I left like Travis Dye and went to USC and then come back to Oregon, like, hey people, Ducks for life. They're how they treat Travis Dye now. They're like, hey, where's your brother at? Where's Troy? Bring Troy with you. Like we don't want you unless Troy's there, and then we're gonna put you next to the bathroom, and we're gonna put him at the best table in the restaurant. So
Well, let's
there's
talk about the actual process of this because Ty Simpson's going through it. He gave a story to Chris Lowe of On
okay.
Three, and he went really, really into detail with the fact that people were trying to get him in the portal. Miami fans hate his quote about saying like, "If I went to Miami, I'd just be another guy that took the money." Um, and they hate that because that's not how they think of Carson Beck. That's not how they think of Cam Ward. But of course, that's not how they think of those guys. He's talking about everybody else, right?
Yes.
So this is what Ty Simpson had to say, and he went into detail. Now, mind you, Ty Simpson was never in the portal, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So Ty Simpson said the offers were pouring into his agent. Miami and Tennessee both said they would pay him $4 million. Ole Miss also jumped in around the $4 million mark. Eventually, Miami ran up the tab to 6.5. Miami was kind of like, all right, we're moving on. And then they lost out on Sam Levitt and came back with the 6.5. And then Ole Miss called back and said that they would match it.
Woo.
And so you have all these people in a bidding war for somebody who has said that, like, I want to be known as a member of the Alabama Crimson Tide of the last
Mm.
Saban staff going into the DeBoer staff. I waited my turn to wear this uniform. Now I'm getting first round grades, and I want to be remembered in Tuscaloosa.
Okay. So the fact that he's getting first round grades, that's an acceptable decision. If you're Quinn Ewers, who got drafted in the seventh round, and he said somebody offered him $8 million, which I don't believe, but but let's say it was six, say it was five. That's more than the value of his entire rookie contract. Man,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't go get that money, and in that situation, I wouldn't have even blamed him because that was a unique situation because they wanted Arch to play anyway. So Texas fans would have still embraced him, and particularly if he went out the right way. If he were like, "Yo, I would love to stay at Texas. I want to be here, but I know it's Arch's turn right now."
So I want to read you two quotes.
I'd have PR spent the hell out of that.
I want to read you two quotes because one of them is, I think, the red meat that fans want to hear from the people that they recruit out of high school. This is he said, um, everybody would just remember me as the guy who took all this money and went to Miami or Tennessee for his last year, but I was a captain. I put my hand in the footprints in the cement at Denny Chimes. I would have lost everything that I built at Alabama. I think that's what fans want to hear. They want to believe that that
Yep.
loyalty still exists. And the other thing he said, George, was that he asked Nick Saban for advice. And you got to love that people still going to Saban, even though he's got a head coach at Alabama and Kalen DeBoer. But he went to Nick Saban for advice. And this is what Nick Saban told him. Let's say that everyone who wants you was paying you $0 next year. Where would you go? That was Saban's advice.
Yeah.
Would you go to the NFL? Would you go to Miami? Would you go to Tennessee? Would you try to find a way to stay here, even though they're ready to move on because they got great options behind you? And his heart was in the NFL. He'd been in college
That
for a
means you made a
while.
good decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at that decision at all.
But Peter
But
Burns says, George, they're going to have to up the rookie pay scale here in a minute. Do you think that's true? to coax guys into the NFL, because you got Dante Moore sticking around. You got other guys saying that they're going to stay in college. Is the NFL going to have to adjust to compete with college football?
I don't think so, because Ty Simpson just turned down the money. There's going to be plenty of people who turn down the money. But the thing is you're actually probably going to get more people back who don't need to go in the draft, who need more seasoning, who need another season. Those are the people that you're probably going to get back, which is better for the NFL, because now you're putting better players in the NFL who are more prepared to go into the league. And so you shrink the pool. It's like when the NBA took high school players out of the draft. Like, yes, there's the occasional Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant, like those guys. But the majority of them don't pan out. So it makes it so you've wasted a draft pick, you've wasted money, and then now the one and dones are easier to predict, but just
Mm.
like older players are easier to predict. So the more data and everything that you have on players, the more efficient that your scouting process is going to be. So I like it. I like it. I like it a lot.
So when people
Um,
say Dante Moore will never be higher, that he made a mistake because his stock will never be higher, that's what you're talking about.
yes, which I think is foolish anyway, because the idea that you need to go when your stock is highest, that's not it. You need to go when you're ready, because sometimes our talent takes us to places that we're not mentally, spiritually, and emotionally ready for. Now, if you're Anthony Richardson and you're a quote unquote project, you may not be, if he went back to college, he may not be a top pick the next year. Smash and grab, baby, and hope that you work it out. I would advise that. Smash and grab. So if my kid were Anthony Richardson, son, we gotta go, baby. This is a robbery. Put hands up, hands up. If I am Dante Moore, I'm like, whoa, 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 son. Let's pump our brakes. Let's get paid. Let's be ready, because we're focusing on second contract. We ain't worried about this first contract. The first contract will be there. And he's gonna be a top 5 pick next year too, even though people are like, his stock will never be higher. Blah, blah. If you the truth, you'll be the truth next year too.
Well, speaking of the truth, you are a very good college player. You went
Yep.
in the NFL draft. Um, you played for a what I consider to be, maybe not to the masses, but in college football, legendary college coach. What would you have done if before your junior year you got a letter from your legendary college football coach? And I'm going to read it to you, dated August 3rd, 1977. This is from legendary Florida State head coach Bobby Bowden, winner of many, many national championships. This is the letter that he sent to his players before they reported. Just want to know how you would have reacted to this. Dear Seminole, report in top physical condition when you come in on August 19th. We do not have time to wait for anyone to get in shape. We depart for southern Mississippi 3 weeks after you report, and I'm looking for the 50 toughest men to go with me. Fat people will be left behind in their tracks.
No linemen.
Kicking, kicking, conditioning, and execution will win the opener. The only thing you must do is be in better condition than your opponent, no matter how good he is. Have your hair cut before you report. No beards, no mustache below your upper lip. Sideburns no lower than your earlobes. No hair sticking out in the front of your helmet and flaring out below the back rim. Keep afros normal or braided. Bring a coat and tie and dress shirt with you for trips. We will dress like men, not children. Be sure to have your head screwed on right when you get here. We will work
What does
toward
that
one
mean?
common goal.
What does that mean? Have your head screwed on right. That's such an ambiguous term. That's like saying, "Don't come over here with that BS." You're like, what's the BS?
You're gonna love this last sentence. We will work toward one common goal when you report, and that is to get the 50 best men ready to get after Southern Mississippi. If you do not make the top 50, be disciplined enough to make us a better team through hustle and good morale. We need everybody. Leave all pets at home. I do not want them in our housing.
Bro, that wasn't a letter. That was a conversation. Or as Nick Saban would say, that's not it wasn't no conversation. That was ass chewing. Like that was a talking to. That's what that was. That was a talking to. They let
Keep
everybody know what it
afros.
is.
Help me with this one. Keep afros normal. Help me there.
I don't even know what that means. Does that mean no Gumby cut? Does that? I mean, I don't even know what that means. Normal. What is a normal afro? It's an afro. It's an actual hairstyle. So does he mean like no swaggy P cut that didn't even exist at the time? No frohawk?
In 1977.
Yeah. I don't even know what that means. A normal afro. Whatever. But I do
You know
love
what?
that he wrote them individual. Well, he didn't write it, but that somebody actually typed. I wonder if they photocopied these or if somebody individually typed every one or they put it. Well, actually, in 77, I think they had word processing then, right? Like the word processors.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they might have just had to just put it 50 copies. And then they had to
Okay, so
mail it to you.
I have a question for you. What do you think Bobby Bowden would think of Caleb Williams?
What? He had super long hair at first, had his nails painted. Uh, you know,
Do you think Caleb Williams gets this letter from Bobby Bowden?
he would have never recruited him. Actually, no, he would have because he was a good player, boy.
I was
He's a
gonna
good
say,
player.
yeah.
Yeah,
But we might have seen Bobby Bowden with some acrylics if he
yeah.
had Caleb Williams on his team back in the day. You might have had a whole different Bobby Bowden.
You are 100% right.
Would you have been offended by this your junior year of college?
No, because I mean, in 1977, this is how people talk to people. So I would not have been offended. I'd have been like, oh, well, coach is just like everybody else. I mean, like
If
everybody
your
else.
parents had got this letter, would they have been like, "Oh, this is the right man to be playing for"?
Hell yeah, that'd have been like,
Yeah, that's
see,
what.
yes,
I
son.
don't think this. I don't think this letter was for the kids. I
My
think it was
dad,
for the
he did
moms.
Ralph. He didn't even let me walk around with my shirt untucked. So how do you think he would have felt about this?
Same way my
My
dad
dad
would
didn't
feel
like
if
me wearing black shoes. He was like, bro, you're only supposed to wear white shoes. He didn't like dark shoes.
it's the same way my dad would feel if he saw this clip and my hat was on backwards. That's
Yeah,
he'd be like, "What do you got
exactly.
an attitude?" Like,
Oh
in
man,
matter of
dude,
fact, I do.
my mom. Oh, okay, so we were where were we going? We were going somewhere last week, and my wife goes, "Oh, that." Oh, on Sunday we had to take pictures. I coach Roman's 6-year-old basketball team. Okay, it's picture day. I got on sweats and a black T-shirt and a hat like I always have on. Oh, is this your picture outfit? The hell's that supposed to mean? Yes, actually, yes, it is. What am I supposed to wear? 6-year-old uh, uh, basketball, and you know what the name of our team is?
What?
The Chicken Jockeys.
So you dress for the occasion.
Exactly.
All right, let's skip this USC Notre Dame thing because it makes me upset to even think about.
Okay.
And there never will be an answer as to who is to blame because both parties are stupid for canceling their game. But I do want to bring up this Jordan Seaton thing. You know, he's a number one offensive tackle coming out of high school. He announced his commitment, I believe, was on Pat McAfee's show. He went to Colorado with the specific purpose of, the attention, the 10 million viewers per game that they were getting was going to be big for him and his family situation. He's trying to buy his mom a house. After a year there, a bunch of his teammates jumped in the portal, and he issued a statement about how that's not brotherhood. Um, and he's been an interesting cat this whole time, and now he's in the portal. And this is something you
Yes.
told me was going to happen a couple
Yep.
weeks before it even happened. But the brotherhood stuff is interesting in the light of him being in the portal right now. Colorado fans are definitely a little upset that he seemed to have solicited his cousin from Ohio State. They thought to come play with him at Colorado. Turns out, he's just to play with him in general at maybe some other destination. Colorado fans feel played. There's a few Colorado fans. I'm not sure if their heads screwed on straight. They were posting pictures of Travis Hunter saying this is what loyalty looks like. And Jackson State fans are looking at that tweet like, and Florida State too. Florida State too. And so, where everybody is either the thief or the victim in modern college football. But I think Jordan Seaton is a fascinating kid. He might have gotten himself into a little bit of hot water on the way out the door, soliciting a graphic that he might have implied
Oh, that was
was for him
nasty
to
work.
announce
That
that he
was
was
nasty
staying.
work.
I got some people who work in graphic departments in college football programs. They are pissed. This is their hot top, like how journalists were all talking about that Jacksonville reporter.
Yeah.
This is their hot topic. Like he is enemy number one right now of the graphic design folks. But I just want to get your thoughts on this whole Jordan Seaton saga. I think he was only at Colorado because that's where all the attention was at the time. And he does have clear goals as far as what he's trying to accomplish before he gets to the NFL. The program doesn't look so good right now. Um, you know, I I don't feel like he's really switched up his energy. I think he's just young and he's made some statements that are looking back are going to be a little unfortunate.
Yes. It's hard because he wants to win, I believe. And he's like, we far away from winning right now at Colorado. They're doing the same thing for the third year in a row. With the transfer portal, like bringing everybody in the or is this the fourth year in a row? Either way, bringing everybody in the portal, running everybody out, running everybody like it's like a revolving damn door. It's like the coach got fired, and so he probably wants to win and play for something significant, and that's why he may end up elsewhere. So I can't be upset for that, but the price tag, it was going to cost at least $2.5 million to get him out of the portal. He's a stone cold first round NFL tackle. And there are people who want that. There are people who need that. And so we're going to see where he lines up. I have a feeling where he ends up. Texas was trying to get a tackle. They were after him too, but they just signed a tackle from Wake Forest who's a good pass blocker. No sacks this year, giving up. So that may mean Seaton might be on the way to the Pacific Northwest. So you know. So if you didn't see it if you're listening to this on audio, I pointed toward a helmet of a very good college football team that's no longer playing right now, but they're one of the biggest brands in college football.
Quack quack. All right. What's our last topic of the day? Do you want to talk about Kyle Whittingham peeling back the onion a little bit on
Oh my
Bryce
God,
Underwood's
yes.
freshman year?
This. Ralph, I was shocked when I heard Kyle Whittingham when he was on talking to Urban Meyer and said that he was talking about Bryce Underwood and the regression that happened from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. Footwork was bad. Everything was just bad. Kyle Whittingham said that he did not have a dedicated quarterback coach this season. And that is, if true, that's a fireable offense for Sharon Moore. I know he got fired for something else, but they should hire him back just so they can fire him for cause. Actually, never mind. They did fire him for cause. Never mind. But that you spend all that money on a quarterback, you play him probably before he's ready, and then you don't even give him the tools to grow. That's 6 levels of silly.
So you and I have had this, and shout out to if anybody is a longtime listener to the Pac-12 / College Football Apostles. You and I have had this conversation. I guess I'm a little bit confused by your reaction because you have said the expectation, the expectation is that quarterbacks are trained outside of college. That you're not going
Yes.
to get necessarily better in season or at school. Like you got
Well,
to be getting trained up on your own, dedicated, whether it's Taylor Kelly or um, some of these guys out in Arizona that have a bunch of guys
you know who
like
my kids train with now, in addition to Taylor?
who.
Cam Rising. Hell of a quarterback coach. Hell of a quarterback coach.
That's cool. I didn't know that he was that's where he had dedicated his energy. That's very
Yes,
cool.
he's the offensive coordinator in high school, and yeah,
I was about to say, is he even old enough to be offensive coordinator? But yes, he definitely is.
yes,
He was alive in at least for part of the 1900s, I believe.
yes.
So so you think that Kyle Whittingham can get a dedicated quarterback coach in there that we're going to see the Bryce Underwood that after about 3 weeks of the season you were saying he could be.
Yes, bro. Yes, I think that's what Beck is gonna do. Their offensive coordinator. I think he's a quarterback coach too. Yes, somebody's got to coach. And when I say that you got to get trained up outside of it, yes. But during the season, somebody's got to be breaking down film with you, talking about where your reads are. Those types of things the quarterback coaches can't really help you with. That's where the quarterback coach is for your in-season stuff, the stuff that has to do in particular with this offense, not your mechanics necessarily, all of that stuff. They're there to help you with the on-field performance and the knowledge part of it, not necessarily the mechanical part of it.
So my question for you is this, George: do you think when it is all said and done, Bryce Underwood will break Michigan's single season passing touchdown record?
How many is
And do
that?
you know what that number is?
It's
What? Take a
Michigan,
guess.
so it ain't that big. I'm gonna go with huh, let me see, best Michigan quarterbacks of all time.
Chad
Tom
Henne
Brady,
has
and
the
no,
record.
Tom Brady is not going to come up on that
No,
list.
the record is tied between Chad Henne and Elvis Gerbach.
Oh my God!
The record has technically been
So
held since
you're going to
1991.
be like 32 probably.
A little less than that.
Yeah, 28,
Keep going.
25.
25. 25.
Wait, nobody in Michigan history has ever thrown more than 25 touchdowns in a season.
That is correct. And only two people have thrown 25 touchdowns. John Navarre is tied for is third with 24 touchdowns in 2003.
How many did the great J.J. McCarthy throw?
22. Will he get it? I'm rooting for him.
Okay, well, let me see. Cam Rising Utah stats. Okay. So Cam Rising at Utah. Oh, he threw for 26 touchdowns in 2022. Okay. And let's see Tyler Huntley. I know he ain't throwing no more than that, right?
Maybe. I think we're supposed to call him Snoop now.
No, his most was 19. Ooh,
Do you think if Bobby Bowden coached Tyler Huntley, he would call him Snoop?
hell no. Hell no. All right, so I'm going to go with yes, he will break it, but not this season, the following season.
Okay, so would you put a bet on that on Polymarket? And should we be able to do this?
If you put it on Polymarket, Ralph, it's not a bet. It's a prediction market. And this is the
Oh,
thing that people have to understand the difference in. So you have Polymarket and you got Kalshi, right? Those are prediction sites. Those are not betting sites. Prediction sites. And they don't have the same regulation as like prize picks or DraftKings or FanDuel, who they have to report suspicious betting habits or betting patterns. But they're federally regulated in that way. Prediction markets. Oh, and on those, you're playing against the house. In the prediction market, you're playing against other prediction bettors, wagerers, excuse, or whatever the proper non-term is. So for that, you're going against them. So it's totally different. And now there's a attempt to be regulation because there's no difference in that than prop betting if we're really being honest, because it can be manipulated. And now today they got announced that all sorts of that 20 people got arrested surrounding betting. Now the funny part about this is when you look at the teams that are named, you got like somebody A&T, Kennesaw State, McNeese, like you got smaller schools, black college schools, stuff like that that are underfunded, and you got hundreds of thousands of dollars betting put on these games, which is a complete outlier, right? Nobody's betting on these games at such a high level unless they have some sort of inside information on it. Well, do you know what used to be the most corrupt sport, Ralph, in terms of betting?
tell me.
Tier 2 tennis.
Really?
Yes, bro. Like we're not talking about the people that play in the French Open. We're talking about the people that like play in the Miami Open, Indian Wells, but don't really win. They don't go to the majors like those, like they're good players. Like we're talking about people from like 101 to like 250 ranked. Those people are susceptible because if you offer them $100,000 to throw a match, it don't matter to them. They're ranked number 280 anyway.
Yeah, they could retire.
Yeah. They're
they're
like, I'm
they're
not going.
paying to go to these tournaments.
Yes. So now that means that okay, if I take a bribe here, then I can go play normal after that. And maybe that's the thing that I need to pay for my training to get to the next level. It's a bro,
Okay,
this is a tough situation.
this type of splitting hairs feels very much, George, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like your girl coming up to you and being like, "Hey, why did I see you were hanging out with your ex?" And your response is like, "Well, technically we were never dating."
Exactly.
That's what
Exactly.
you were trying to explain the difference between
I mean, technically,
betting
she was
and
never my
predicting.
girlfriend. We were just
We were just
sleeping
hanging
together.
out.
We were friends, but occasionally we would, have a little
uh
flesh time.
well, so that I hate that phrase so much. What did you
I
say?
knew I said it like that on purpose. I knew it was gonna bug you.
You know what though? You know what though? We have ended this podcast so many times with me flustering you that I think now is a good time for you to get your get back, start 2026 off right, and just call it. Because
Yes,
I do not feel
show's
good about
over,
what you.
people. Like, share, subscribe, get notifications. Forgot to tell you that earlier, and get some flesh time when you can.
Jesus, stop.